Hey, good morning. Thank you all for coming. We have more experts here also to answer other questions, particularly NES. I think they've made excellent progress overnight. Now, I want to start by acknowledging the confirmed COVID-19 case, coronavirus case in Williamson County. There is a robust monitoring and response plan for Nashville, and we're working closely with the CDC and the Tennessee Department of Health to protect the health and well-being of residents. Nashville is fortunate to have epidemiologists and clinicians to keep our community safe. Let's just remain calm, listen to the experts. Dr. Caldwell, who's our incoming public health director, will be here to answer questions and specific techniques about how to keep our community safe. Now, we are 48 hours into the response and recovery for our community, and the response is incredible. Our thoughts remain with those who've lost so much. But I want to remind everyone who wants to donate their time and resources to the following organizations. Please do. Hands on Nashville, HON.org, has 18,000 volunteers. And now this Saturday and Sunday, they're going to have a major work days across Nashville to help our community repair and recover. Those locations will be posted. They are currently working with emergency workers to identify safe locations for the workers to get started to help clean up our community. I will say there's a particular need for items such as work gloves, garbage bags, toiletries, blankets, reusable bags, flashlights, and batteries, in particular for those who are able to donate those to our community resource centers. There is a particular request for that. There's Lee Chapel AME at 1200 DB Todd Boulevard is accepting community support. Also, the Community Resource Center at 218 Omohundro Drive. Now, monetary donations have been flooding in the Community Foundation at cfmt.org. These have now surpassed $2.1 million, $1 million from individuals. I want to thank the Titans, who have pledged $1 million to relief efforts, and the NFL Foundation for their contribution of $250,000. I also want to thank Amazon and Google for their significant contributions. There were Amazon trucks at Lee Chapel this morning at 6 a.m. delivering relief supplies. Now, these contributions will go towards helping those with the most urgent needs throughout our entire community. But our first responders, utility workers, and Metro personnel have done a fantastic job. The Office of Emergency Management was created, a task force named Metro Strong, and the Strong is also an acronym for Storm Tactical Response Neighborhood Group. And this task force consists of personnel from Metro Police, Public Works, NES, Nashville Fire, and Metro Water Services. 10 teams within the task force are going through areas to ensure the safety and integrity of neighborhoods so that Hands on Nashville and other volunteer organizations can begin to safely rebuild our community, and these are critical relief efforts. 18,000 volunteers is an incredibly inspiring number. Now, Metro's response and recovery efforts continue around the clock, but our work is cut out for us. Tuesday's tornado produced damage consistent with at least an EF3 rating. Winds estimated to reached 165 miles an hour. It lifted shrapnel and other debris 20,000 feet into the air. And it's estimated to leave a 52-mile path of destruction through Middle Tennessee. And of course, our thoughts are with our friends in Dixon, Wilson, and Putnam County in particular as they also recover. Now, Tuesday's tornado closely followed the path of 1933 and 1998 tornadoes. And the 5 Points area in East Nashville was hit by all three. An incredible resilience has been shown by the neighbors there once again. FEMA officials are on the ground in Davidson County and throughout Middle Tennessee assessing damage in the affected areas as part of the disaster declaration process. And Governor Lee submitted an executive order of emergency and request for emergency federal funds to the president last evening as part of the declaration process. There is not a specific dollar amount at this time, but the state and local governments, including our own, can finish a cost estimate, which will be significant. President Trump is expected to arrive Friday, and I want to express our thanks to the White House, to FEMA, the Department of Homeland Security. Every part of the government is working well and closely together to help fill the urgent needs of a community that needs a swift response and financial support, both to individuals and businesses, as we go from emergency to recovery to rebuilding. Now, codes officials here in Metro are nearing the completion of a preliminary sweep along the tornado path in Davidson County, following the path of the tornado itself. They are 75% completed with their assessment, and they hope to be 100% completed by the end of today. There's incredible work by those teams, and so far, we can identify 395 residential structures and 184 commercial structures that received major damage or were completely destroyed. Hundreds of other structures have received less severe damage but will require repair and renovation. Now, these numbers will increase as evaluations continue throughout the day. Public Works continues their work in repair and cleanup. Public Works has a total of 20 right-of-way crews that have been working 12-hour shifts. They have cleared and reopened 33 streets. Now, that is only 30% of the 112 total road closures after the storm. Currently, 79 roads are still closed, and Public Works is working with NES as they secure the downed power lines to allow those roads to be reopened. Signal crews are working 12-hour shifts and have repaired 24 of the 71 traffic signals that were damaged or lacking power. The 41 traffic signals are undamaged but also remain without power. Now, a generator is powering some of these. There's a generator now at DB Todd and Jefferson Street, and they're being set up in the Rosa Parks and I-65 corridor. Road and signal outage numbers will fluctuate as other blockages are mapped out. Public Works will begin picking up at curbside debris today. We have 25 brush trucks out picking up brush, construction, and demolition debris, which are evenly distributed across North Nashville, East Nashville, and Donaldson at this time, and more capacity is being added. Water Services has 5 crews in the Lee Chapel and DB Todd area assisting with cleanup efforts. Now, residents, we will pick up the debris from the curb. Public Works is committed to pick up that debris, and we will be working today and every day to get that picked up. There is a request from Public Works to let them pick up from the curb. So if residents can get debris to the curb, Public Works will come with trucks. They know the affected areas, and those trucks will be coming and revisiting communities as more debris is brought out to the sidewalk. Now, the phone number is 311 to request pickup service from anywhere in Davidson County. Now, we know the affected areas and are already sending trucks there, but for those areas that we miss, please call 311. Now, nearly 50,000 NES customers were without power Tuesday morning. Now, nearly 31,000 have had their power restored. Yesterday morning, 35,000 customers were without power. This morning, the number is 18,900. Amazing work by NES crews. 300 additional crew members from outside Davidson County have arrived to help. Others are coming as we speak. The storm left 673 broken power poles, more than 3 times the 200 number that were damaged in 1998. The North Nashville area has a particularly high number of broken poles, and that will unfortunately delay some of our recovery there, but teams are working there around the clock. And NES is working tirelessly to restore power everywhere, and we appreciate everyone's patience and understanding. Piedmont Natural Gas has received approximately 239 emergency calls. All calls have been responded to and issues remediated. 41 technicians and 6 internal operations and maintenance crews and 3 contract crews are working nonstop to handle calls. Piedmont has now resumed normal operations. Metro Water Services continues to provide clean and safe drinking water to the entire county. Both power plants have been placed on generators to relieve pressure on NES. The Central Wastewater Treatment Plant and 14 sewer pumping stations continue to operate on generator power as well and are operating smoothly. For those who have experienced storm damage, safe shelter is the #1 priority for residents requiring accommodations. Here's a reminder of our public shelters. Centennial Sportsplex at 222 25th Avenue North. East Magnet High School at 110 Gallatin Avenue. Smith Springs Community Center at 2801 Smith Springs Road, that opened last night. And Hadley Park at 1037 28th Avenue North. The Airbnb host community in Nashville is also providing no-cost accommodations to displaced tornado survivors. Visit airbnb.com/TNTornado20 to find and book urgent temporary accommodations. We do want to thank Airbnb and particularly those local hosts for their generosity. Now, the Tennessee Housing Development Agency has short-term and permanent rental housing options available for eligible individuals and families at TennesseeHousingSearch.org. Now, unfortunately, in times like these, there may be the opportunity for people to be taken advantage of. Metro police officers are pulling 12-hour shifts to ensure community safety. Now, it's important to safeguard your property and protect yourselves. Now, watch out for any upfront fees to help you claim services, benefits, or get loans. Be wary of high-pressure sales tactics from any contractor and verify credentials if you feel the need to at verify.tn.gov. And know that resources will be available to help you repair and rehabilitate your property or small business. Do not feel pressured to leave your neighborhood. In any way, more help is on the way. Now, once a federal disaster declaration is finalized, individual grants will be made available from FEMA to cover many eligible costs not covered by insurance. Homeowners can apply for up to $200,000 from the SBA to replace and repair their home. Renters and homeowners can borrow up to $40,000 to replace their personal property, from clothing to cars. And eligible business owners can also apply for up to $2 million in economic injury and disaster loans to help recover costs. Now, I want to turn this over, as we're trying to fully inform the public at every step of the way, to Dr. Caldwell, who will talk briefly about just techniques for keeping us safe from any concerns about the virus. Safe is aspirational, but certainly we can do things that will limit the effect of that disease. We also have Dr. Battle here to comment about school closures that is expected and the response by our wonderful school system to the challenges ahead. And then Chief Swan and Chief Anderson to be very specific. Also, I'm grateful to have NES and DaCosta here because, again, we are all going to depend on their crews being effective as we move from emergency to recovery. Thank you. With that, again, Dr. Caldwell, if you would coach us through a little bit about what a community should be doing to keep itself safer.
Thank you, Mayor Cooper. I'm Dr. Michael Caldwell. I'm the incoming director of the Nashville Department of Public Health. The tornado response continues, and I want you all to know that we're making sure that the water and sewer system continues to be at capacity, and that is very important in this particular situation. A lot of people don't have power, so I am concerned that whatever food you may have may be spoiled, and that you need to take care to make sure that if anything is spoiled, if it looks spoiled, to throw it away. We don't want anybody to get sick unnecessarily at this particular time. Now, also people may need to have generators for one reason or another. And oftentimes in disaster responses, we have very sad deaths from carbon monoxide poisoning, completely preventable. We want to make sure that if you're using a generator, that you have it outside and not inside in a very well ventilated area. We don't want any more deaths that can be completely prevented. Now, we're going to have waves of energy where people are going to go out and want to clean up. And we're also going to have waves of reflection and solitude. So for those people who are out there helping their neighbors clean up, I want you to be very familiar with redcross.org and to protect yourself if you're going to be out there cleaning up. Make sure you have the proper clothing and gear. Make sure you have gloves. We are essentially having our community going out into what would normally be a demolition zone. There are hazards potentially out there from collapsed buildings, things that we don't normally get exposed to in the air, perhaps lead dust or asbestos. It could be there. So be careful. Keep that in mind. Go to redcross.org and find out what you should do to prepare to clean up. Now, for those moments of waves of reflection and a solitude, our emotional health is very, very important at this time. And I'm pleased to let you know that the Mental Health Cooperative is a strong partner for Nashville at this time. I'd like to give you a number because this number is very important for everybody to know that there is someone available for you to talk to. That number is 615-726-0125. And I'll repeat that again. This is the Mental Health Cooperative for those moments of reflection and solitude that we're going to have. Maybe not today, but maybe tomorrow. Maybe somebody in your community is not showing it, but they might. Please keep this number in mind, 615-726-0125, the Mental Health Cooperative. Now, we did learn today that there is a case of coronavirus in the state, in Williamson County. I would like everybody to familiarize themselves with all the information at cdc.gov. That is the most up-to-date information. If you're sick, please don't go out at this time. Try to stay home, stay away from people. And let's take it one step further. If we're in an environment where we see somebody coughing and sneezing, and we may usually feel a little hesitant to ask them to please leave, I'll ask you to be respectfully aggressive and say, I think maybe you should go home. I think maybe you should not be here, whether it's in your business or school or any environment. Everybody needs to participate in recommending that sick people don't be around non-sick people. I'd like you also to remember, of course, washing your hands is so important with soap and water very thoroughly. We need to do this as often as possible. Hand sanitizer does work if the soap and water is not effective. Finally, I'm going to say it's time that we stop shaking hands. Now, this is a time that I do not want to curtail affection. If Nashville needs to be affectionate with each other, it's now. But let's try to at least practice not shaking hands. And we are going to be providing you more information on alternatives on what to do to greet each other. But if we could do that, I'd really, really appreciate your support. Mr. Mayor, thank you very much for your leadership, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Well, thank you, Doctor. Maybe just moving through our speakers, Dr. Battle is here, and if she would give us an update about our school system and what we can expect as we resume operation.
Well, thank you, Mayor Cooper, and all of our first responders who are working tirelessly to get Nashville back up and running after the devastation we experienced on Tuesday. Also, thank you for the update from our health department, who have been great partners with Metro Schools and taking precautionary measures. As you know, schools are closed today and Friday to give the city time to heal, give our staff and families time to recover, and to free up our employees to go out into the community and volunteer in the rebuilding effort. We still have about 10 schools that are without power in the district. Metro Schools experienced significant damage at 3 schools, but it could have been worse given the number of schools that were in the path of the storm. Robert Churchwell Museum Magnet Elementary School experienced the most damage and will likely require an entire wing to be torn down and rebuilt. Meigs Magnet Middle School will need to replace its roof and repair water damaged sections of the building. Both will require new HVAC systems to be installed and will take many weeks or perhaps even several months to fully repair. Laughlin Design Center Elementary suffered some roof damage on one section of the building, but we are working to have that repaired for students to be back in class on Monday. As soon as we assessed the damage at Churchwell and Meigs, we started working on contingency plans to ensure students have an uninterrupted education. For Churchwell, we identified Park Avenue enhanced option at 3703 Park Avenue as the closest school with the physical capacity to hold all of the students at Churchwell. It is also within the Pearl Cone cluster. Starting Monday, buses will be routed to Park Avenue and students and staff will be asked to report. We'll essentially be operating two schools under one roof with some shared services. Staff and families should have been informed about this yesterday and this morning. Placing the more than 700 students and staff at Meigs Magnet Middle created another challenge, as we did not have a vacant facility with the capacity or a middle school that could absorb that number of students. Tonight, we had already planned a community meeting at Jerry Baxter Middle School to discuss consolidating Graymar Middle and Jerry Baxter into one school in the upcoming school year. In order to accommodate the need for a new facility for Meigs, we'll be relocating students at Graymar to Jerry Baxter starting on Monday. This will not be a consolidation of schools. Both Graymar and Jerry Baxter will continue to operate as separate entities, but they will be housed under one roof. This will allow us to have a facility at Graymar Middle School with the capacity to hold all of Meigs under one roof. Many students who attend Meigs use WeGo public transit to get to and from school. So WeGo has identified a bus route that will deliver them to and pick them up safely from their new location at Graymar, which is at 575 Joyce Lane. Our technology and facility teams have been going to all of these locations to develop implementation plans and ensure everyone has access to the instructional environment they need for student access. This will be a challenging endeavor, as we're doing 3 to 6 months of work in 3 to 6 days. But I believe in our community, in our district, and we're up to the challenge. We greatly appreciate the patience and understanding of families who are impacted by these changes, and we'll be offering as much support as possible to make this transition as smooth as possible for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, good morning. The mayor did an excellent job of doing a review. One of my jobs, not only being the chief of the fire department, is running the Office of Emergency Management. And I want to just give a big shout out to all the Metro government working together as one team. As you see that we're moving with recovery, it may seem like it is methodical, and it is, but it is with purpose. I'm just going to touch upon a few things. The weather will be getting a little cooler. We're being accustomed to the 60s. It's going to drop, so we want to make sure we caution everyone to make sure that they dress properly. In the wee hours of the night, it may get down to the 30s. Just make sure you stay hydrated and have proper layering as far as clothing. We definitely don't want anyone trying to warm a structure that doesn't have power for fear of having a fire. So just make sure you take that precautionary measures. Another point, we are putting together, and we're hoping to have this done by this afternoon, a disaster assistance center. This will be set up in 3 different locations, and it will be a one-stop shop where you'll be able to come and get all the information that you need. I know the mayor had talked about some of the resources that you have, from FEMA to codes to just Red Cross, to getting resources that you may need. We'll have this set up, and we'll actually make sure we get this put out to everyone. I think it's very essential for our citizens. And then last, the task force team that the mayor spoke about earlier, compiled of not only fire and police, it'll also have a codes member, it'll have somebody from NES, it'll have a Piedmont Gas, along with the water department. And this task force team will be able to go through the neighborhoods that we've already did a quick rush through to make sure there's no victims. Now we're looking for the unstable structures. this actually helped facilitate getting Hands on Nashville and other groups into these communities where there's much needed. So again, I'm going to keep that short because the mayor did an excellent job of reviewing what we have done as a city to move into the recovery stage. So thank you.
So as we work through this disaster, I'm very happy to report to you there are no significant criminal events associated with any of the disaster areas, the tornado. Our officers continue to work 12-hour shifts, days off canceled. We're essentially operating 2 police departments. One, we're regular business, calls for service, investigating things that need to be investigated, and then focusing on the North Nashville, Germantown, East Nashville, and Hermitage areas with teams of officers to secure the area, assist citizens, do everything necessary to keep everybody safe. I attribute the work of the officers, your officers, out there keeping things safe, no disaster-related criminal activities, but certainly the citizens that are assisting us. We understand the mounting frustration on traffic signals, and NES is doing their work to restore power. So this morning we're going to reevaluate. We have a team going out. We have over 40 fixed posts with 1 or more officers blocking streets to make sure that things stay safe so that repair crews can do their job. So we're reevaluating that to see if we could break some officers free to actually work those traffic intersections to move traffic along a little more freely. So we'll know more about that later this morning.
We'll open things up for questions. As a reminder, we also have representatives from Public Works, Metro Water, and Nashville Electric Service. First question.
Can I get a quick number again on how many buildings were damaged? I got the homes, if you could.
After a 75% sweep, we'll get to a 100% sweep later this afternoon. There's 395 residential structures and 184 commercial structures received major damage or were completely destroyed. Now, there are hundreds of other structures that are damaged, but not quite at that category. These numbers will increase as we go from a 75% assessment to a 100% assessment.
I spoke to a gentleman in East Nashville this morning, and he said that obviously the number one thing that he really needs so he can start demo and putting his life back together is to get everything cleared out. You addressed a little bit that crews are going to start, but can you talk just a little bit about how momentous that task is and how long it might take, weeks, months, to get that stuff cleared out?
I do. Our Public Works Director, Mark Sturdivant, is here, and that's, as I was telling them earlier, that is on them to do an outstanding job, because it is a big job, but that's where our recovery will start.
Okay, so we started picking up today, and we have 25 trucks on the street. There are also some trucks by the water department, which are adding to that effort. And in the next couple of days, we hope to have a private contractor come in that has much larger equipment than we have at Public Works. And the volume of what they'll be able to do will be greater, and we can work faster. So we also, I think it's important for people to know that we'll work over and over in an area. We know that a lot of people will work on the weekends and then go back to work during the week and then come back the weekend after and continue to work. So this is going to be something that goes on for a while. Our goal is to try to get things back in order in a month, 30 days. We'll have to see how that goes.
And I think it's important, the director was emphasizing this with me earlier, is for neighbors to get the debris to the curb. And then Public Works is going to move it on to their locations and take it, probably be more efficient in doing that, and then let's allocate the work, get it to the curb, and then they're going to show up with trucks and take it on.
Correct.
Next question. Could someone, maybe Chief could speak to this, just in terms of traffic and getting around? I think a lot of people maybe are trying to get into neighborhoods to help, but then maybe getting discouraged because it's too hard to get in, but then other people are just going into neighborhoods to look, which is frustrating residents who live there. Just maybe some general information or thoughts to share with folks.
Certainly, and let me emphasize again, as we have before, onlookers, please stay away. If you're not directly involved with a cleanup crew, with one of the safety concerns, do not block the progress of the people actually trying to do the work. And that's what our officers are there for. And the citizens and business owners, please be patient with us. We're going to be stopping everybody that tries to go into that area, and try to separate those with a legitimate need to view their residents, to take care of business, but keep those people out that are not part of an official cleanup crew or safety organization or part of the government. Certainly, we welcome volunteers. I get emails the last 2 or 3 days, people wanting to volunteer coming from out of town. And we encourage everybody, be part of an organization. The freelancers going in, it's not safe. We had an injury just this morning. So it's not safe unless you're part of an organized crew with all the safety considerations taken into account.
Anyone else?
I have another question. One of the big concerns coming out of North Nashville is, a place that's have a lot of vulnerable people in there, that there are going to be people that sweep in and try to take advantage of that try to buy houses for cheap, and there's going to be a lot of displacement. Can you talk a little bit about what the city is doing to address that and to ensure that those people are not displaced from their homes?
Well, the emergency declaration and the availability of FEMA money is going to be very important. I think all of us here, let's communicate to that strong feeling, don't give up on Nashville. We are going to help you rebuild. And some of that is going to be federal money. Some of it, frankly, is going to be city and state money. These are powerfully strong communities, those of us who've had the privilege of visiting and being with those neighbors in this time of crisis. This is Thursday morning. These events happened Tuesday morning. We're showing a lot of progress. You can never get people back quickly enough to where they should be. But don't give up. We're going to have community meetings, particularly in North Nashville, particularly in partnership with the churches there, to communicate the availability of help and meeting a timetable for being able to rebuild those communities. It is a terrible trauma, but these are our strongest communities in many cases, and people are flooding in with a response. Our neighbors believe in our neighbors, and let's take that all the way in and keep people where they are. And part of this, and my caution is just we're only on day 2, really, of this. There is help on the way. We're going to do everything that we can to make all available resources available, particularly in communities that are, frankly, vulnerable to this kind of change, disrupting the community forever. Let's not let that happen. And I think that's part of the 18,000 volunteer number. That part of that is all of us feeling that we are a strong community. We're going to be even stronger. Let's help each other, and let's stay a community.
And also remember, that's why we wanted to format the Disaster Assistance Center that we're getting set up, and we'll get this out to the media via the news and also social media outlets as soon as possible. We're getting all the key players involved to help that, because we understand we're going to give them a one-stop shop where they can go there and get all the information. And even though they feel in a state of helplessness, we're going to give them hope, and there'll be an avenue for that citizen to get all the assistance and advice that's needed.
Can I just ask one last question for NES? Can you just talk about the challenges? Like even on Jefferson Street on the bridge, there's still lines that are just hanging, power poles that are hanging. Are there certain challenges in terms of where poles are, getting lines, off of roadways, or the way they fell? I don't know. What's the hardest part, kind of getting things back?
All of the above. So let me just make a few comments. First, let me say our thoughts and our prayers with our friends and neighbors whose lives have been forever changed by this tragedy. And then I want to thank Mayor Cooper for his leadership during this difficult time. So for those of you that were here yesterday, you know that we've got all of our crews working 14-hour days, 24/7. We brought in 400 contract crews, and they started 5 a.m. on yesterday. The mayor said we made excellent progress. I'm going to back that down a little bit. We made steady progress, and like Chief Swain says, at this time, steady and methodical is good, and that's what we're trying to do. We've reduced the number of outages from 50,000 to 19,000 as of 9 a.m. this morning. We divided our crews. We got a service center on the west side of town, one on the north side of town, and one in Donaldson. And so we divided we created 3 pods and put the centers in charge of each pod. We made really good progress on the west side because the damage was not as widespread. Made good progress in Hermitage. The Hermitage substation is up. To your question, in the north side of town, we had these big, and we're working on transmission first, but we had these big steel poles and we had problems getting them out of the ground. And so we are working to get those out of the ground so we can replace those poles, and then we can fix those transmission lines, because those transmission lines are feeding the Van Buren substation and the Metro Center substation, and those substations provide power to our citizens in Germantown and North Nashville. So that is our #1 priority, and we plan to get that done no later than tomorrow. Someone yesterday asked about priorities other than that, so we want to restore power at the John C. Toone Airport, working on the Underwood 4 kV substation near downtown. Got a number of distribution substations, circuits, and as I explained, we're working on transmission right now, but in North Nashville, you'll see a lot of trucks. We're trying to get the distribution system up and running as quickly as possible, so when we get these substations live, it should have a significant impact on the number of outages in North Nashville. And with that, I'll answer any questions you may have.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.